Welcome to Johnston Motors. Today we have this 1984 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. It's the first year of the Grand Wagoneer moniker. Prior to that, 83 and prior, they were called Wagoneer Limiteds. Also, they had the Byrom edition, which is kind of similar to that. Anyways, this is kind of a special car, or it is a special car. It's a very special car because it's a personal car of mine that I've had for about 10 years now, close to it, about a decade. And put a whole lot of work into it. This thing was rough when we eventually, I mean, it did run and drive when we first got it, but it was rough. This is kind of the reason why I took this car on and even wanted it in the first condition is I normally wouldn't want something that rough, but this was actually the last vehicle that rolled off my grandfather's lot, the original Johnston Motors in Plainview, Texas. And it was something they had took on a trade-in, and I just totally wanted it because I'm obsessed with old Jeeps, and specifically I'm really obsessed with full-size Jeeps. So anyways, let me walk you around it, tell you a little bit about it. Really want it to go to a good home, somebody that's going to take care of it, finish the project. Mechanically, it's pretty much all there. We've pretty much addressed everything mechanical on this vehicle, but it needs a lot of cosmetic work, so I'll go over the cosmetics with you. Anyways, we have other Jeeps, and we have a whole fleet of personal vehicles, so this one's got to go. It's been actually it's sat for about a year and a half or so, and we just got it up and running a couple weeks ago. And actually, I was surprised it didn't really take as much as I thought it was going to take to get it up and running, which is really cool. But anyway, so yeah, I'm kind of sad to see this thing go, but like I said, I really want it to go to a good home, somebody that's going to take care of it, somebody that's not going to cut it up or mud it out or turn it into a ranch car. I would really like to see it finished and cosmetically restored, and you know, somebody that appreciates it for what it is. So let me take you around it. Obviously, this is maroon or burgundy, I guess, and I can't remember what they call this grill. I want to say it's called the Muscle Grill, and they did this in like 83, 84, 85, and in 86 is when they switched over to the more, well, I say modern, it's not modern anymore, but the last incarnation of the Grand Wagoneer, which they made from 86 to 91. They started making these in 63, and they really never changed them as far as the body styles go. They just changed a little small stuff on them, you know, the grille, the interior, things like that. So this is it's an automatic 3-speed 727, I believe, torque flight automatic. So I'm gonna get my facts straight here. It's 4x4, obviously, and with the, I believe it's the MP229 transfer case. I haven't looked at this stuff in a while, so anyways, and AMC 360 in it, and it runs great. It is the original motor. I will say it's one of the only original things on this vehicle. Everything's, like I said, been pretty much touched and worked on, so transfer case has been rebuilt, and at the same time the transfer case is rebuilt, we rebuilt the transmission as well. So transmission's been rebuilt. Every fluid on this vehicle has been changed. Front and rear differentials have been serviced. All the vacuum lines have been serviced. The emissions equipment was taken off because it was just clogged and making the car run terrible. So we took all that off, put a brand new exhaust on it. I can't remember the exact exhaust. I think it's a Flowmaster or something, just to kind of give it a mean kind of sound, which works with the fact that the wood grain's been taken off. Obviously, you'll see on the side here. That was done before we owned it. I'm not sure when that was done. Anyway, it's wearing BFG KO2 all-terrains, and they're in pretty good shape. They're definitely not brand new, but they're not old or dry rotted or anything. They're probably about 4 years old or so, maybe 5 years old, but they only have, I don't know, probably 4,000 or 5,000 miles on them. So they're still in really good shape. They hold air. I've been driving this thing around quite a bit since we got it up and running a couple weeks ago. Pretty much every day or every other day, just running errands, trying to make sure everything's running right, working right. No major leaks that I can find anywhere, which is awesome. That's like crazy on a original AMC 360 Grand Wagoneer, but I do notice some small drops of oil coming from right around the oil filter housing. I'm not really sure exactly what that is. I know the oil filter's not loose or anything. I already checked that. It seems to only do that when it's totally warmed up and hot, though. If it's just sitting, you get nothing. It's totally dry underneath there. Anyways, I'm trying to think of what else to tell you about it. It is I can't remember exactly how many people have owned this. I don't really know. The Carfax is kind of vague on stuff that's this old. Like I said, I know it was a trade-in at the original Johnston Motors, my grandfather's lot back in the day, and from what I gathered, it was used as just a kind of a utility, you know, old work truck basically, and around, like I said, West Texas, Plainview area. Speaking of that, because it's from that area, it's mostly rust-free. The frame is completely rust-free, which is awesome. The body is mostly rust-free, except for right here. These quarter panels right here need to be cut and redone. It's a very common thing on Wagoneers. It's just water gets back in there, starts rusting it out. It's really just this little section up in here is pretty good. It's never been any wrecks that I can tell. The frame is super straight. The body's pretty straight for the most part. There's no major body damage on it anywhere. You'll see little small things like small little dents in the hood, things like that. Oh, another thing too, at some point this hood was replaced. I have no idea why, but it was. I'm assuming it was damaged or something. And the only reason I know that is because 84 Grand Wagoneers don't have this Jeep emblem on them. They didn't start that till 86. So at some point somebody's replaced this hood. It's had one repaint that I know of. If you get underneath it, you can tell it was a pretty decent repaint from what it looks like. They did a real good job. They didn't even paint over this, which everybody always paints over these drip rails when they repaint these things. So it was a pretty good quality repaint, but you can tell when you start looking in the at the firewall and like up underneath in the frame, you'll see little tiny specks of overspray. So it's definitely been repainted at some point. Like I said, I'm not sure how many people owned it other than myself. I mean, I've had it for 10 years, but prior to that, I don't know. I know it was purchased brand new at a Jeep dealer in Amarillo, Texas. And like I said, it spent its entire life in the panhandle of Texas until we brought it back here when they closed down the original lot. So the bumpers are in good shape. Plastic trim pieces are in good shape. It's got these fog lights on it. These are not the original fog lights of the vehicle. Those were broke when we got it and unrepairable, so we got these. They work pretty good. Like I said, pretty much everything works on this car. So lights are good. All these lenses have been replaced at some point. The bumper's still pretty good. Chrome's still pretty good. Let's go over here. Check this out. It's got all the center caps on all the wheels, and they are in great condition. The wheels themselves are in pretty good condition. You'll see small little like pitting, but nothing major. These were all missing when we got it, so we replaced all that. Like I said, overall it's in pretty decent condition. You can see the new exhaust back here, so let it breathe a lot better. It's got a trailer hitch on it, never used it. This is more of a hobby vehicle for me, not something I was going to use for work. So it's got the Wagoneer nameplate on it. Rear window does work, last I checked. It's got this wind deflector on it. This originally had wood grain on it as well. All the lights work. The AC blows ice cold. It might have a small leak on it, but it's so small that it'll hold a charge for like 6 months before you have to recharge it. So, but the AC is ice cold. It works great. Compressor works great, which is important because the compressor on these is kind of hard to find. The heater works great. The cruise control works when it wants to. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but it'll work about half the time, which is crazy because it's amazing to me that it works, period. But it starts right up every time. This has been, let me pop the engine real quick, I'll show you. Pop the hood, not the engine. Windshield wipers work. Stereo works, but the speakers are pretty bad. So I mean, the stereo, it's just an aftermarket stereo somebody put in at some point. The glass is all good. The windshield has 0 cracks in it. The chrome trim is in good condition. This drip rail here is starting to flake a little bit. You might could just take this off though and save this drip rail. This is metal, not plastic. The later ones are plastic, and I really prefer this style. Same thing with back here. Sorry, I'm getting off topic, but I want to show you this real quick. This drip rail, or not that it's not a drip rail, but this chrome piece around rear windshield here is in really, really, really good condition, and because it's metal. Later ones, like that one right there, they're plastic and they flake off and they break, and I hate them. So anyways, that's a really cool feature about these early Wagoneers. They have that. They also don't have the rear windshield wiper and sprayer, which is really unnecessary and annoying to me. Just something else to break on these. Yeah, so let me get back to the engine. Like I said, AMC 360. Pretty good motor. By today's standards, it's kind of anemic. They're not fast or anything, but I like things to be fairly original. So I didn't put anything like a LS in or anything like that. All right, like I said, the motor is original. It's the only thing that's original. Front and rear disk's been redone. Transfer case has been redone. Transmission's been redone, but the motor is original. We did a compression test on it and it checked out, so I decided just to keep it because if it ain't broke, don't fix it. So a lot of the seals have been replaced. Like I said, this thing leaked everywhere when we first got it. Everything on the entire car was leaking, so pretty much every seal's been replaced. Battery's brand new. We just replaced that, obviously, to get it up and running again. Plugs are fairly new. We just changed the coolant. This has been converted to HEI distributor as opposed to the original points ignition, so you don't have that annoying ignition control box that tends to fail and they don't start when they get hot, all that kind of stuff. This is turnkey. It starts on a dime. You don't have to pump it. I'll show you in a second. I'll stand outside the car and start it. It's also been converted to throttle body fuel injection. It's the Howe fuel injection unit, really old school unit. They've been doing that for 30 years, however long, but it runs great. Yeah, there's not much else to say about it. Brakes have been redone. I forgot to mention that. The brakes are brand new. Brake fluid's still clear, actually. We replaced the master cylinder, all that good stuff. Yeah, it's pretty original. So let me start it real quick. Air filter's new. Real quick before I start it, let me show you the inside. This is the part that's not necessarily great. Like I said, it needs to be cosmetically restored. It's all original, which is good or bad. It hasn't been messed with or anything by anybody, but the seats are rough. They're torn. They need to be redone. They do work, though. They're electric seats. All the positions work. They move front and back, no problem. Windows go up and down. The locks work for the most part. That one over there is kind of janky, but it works for the most part. Steering wheel is in outstanding condition. Considering the condition of the rest of the interior. Under dash AC unit works great. I'll turn that on in just a sec. Like I said, AC and everything works. The headliner needs to be redone. This is not the original headliner. It's like a vinyl headliner somebody redid at some point. I don't like it. The original one was just cloth. Let me show you the back seat. Here's the back seat. So you can see it has the original shag carpet in it, which is awesome. I wish it was in a little bit better condition. It's kind of starting to go, but I absolutely love that carpet. It totally adds to the vibe of the car, or the Jeep, excuse me. And but you can't find it anywhere. So I would have actually already replaced it, but I love it so much. I don't know, I just really like it in the vehicle. It just really adds to it. But unfortunately, you can't get it anymore, so it just has stayed. They've recently started remaking these corduroy inserts, which is awesome because for a long time they were impossible to find. Oh, check this out too, also kind of cool. I'll show you back here. It does have the original cargo cover, which is kind of a rare item. A lot of those are long gone and missing. Let me start it up real quick so you can hear the motor. There you go. I also wanted to point it out, it does have the factory Jeep floor mats in it, which are kind of cool. I covered it up with this paper mat here. It's dusty here, so I was trying to kind of keep them clean as much as I could. But tint on it's still good, which is pretty amazing. But the window tint's not flaking or anything. And yeah, that is the 1984 Jeep Grand Wagoneer. Mechanically, it's pretty strong, pretty stout. Needs a lot of cosmetic work, depending on what you wanted to do with the project. The outside looks pretty good. The paint's still pretty good on it. The interior is probably the worst part of the vehicle. If you have any questions about this, obviously contact me, 940-808-2382. Ask for myself, Hunter Johnston, or Lauren Johnston, or Timothy Johnston. You check out our website, johnstonmotorsales.com, and don't forget to like, tag, and share us on Facebook. And stick around because we're going to do a short video of us driving this. So thanks much, guys. Have a great day.